across the GCC, July, August is largely a holiday period, and that's when people take their really long breaks for the year. It also corresponds to the period in the Gulf where the temperatures start hitting the extremes, and it's a great time to go somewhere cooler. So for this holiday period specifically, we're seeing a healthy split between people looking for domestic or relatively close regional getaways. So seeing good demand in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Ras Al Khaimah and like Salalah over in Oman. So easy to get to destinations that are familiar, but also good interest and volume to some of the international destinations. So London's always hugely popular, and since becoming visa-free for GCC nationals, that's sort of a massive step change, and that's a huge consideration, particularly if you're booking last minute.
How is all this shaking out in the pricing environment for tickets?
Yeah, I mean, so key lesson for anybody in the Gulf: you don't want to book last minute. You need to get organised, and the dates for this holiday were known a long time ago, so you need to get organised. If you leave it to the last minute, you're always going to pay a premium. The airlines, they revenue manage quite aggressively, and as always, if you've got the luxury of being able to travel off the cycle, it's like if your travel plans aren't anchored around kids and school holidays, you're much better off. So book early, try to be counter-cyclical if you can, and there's some air booking tips that people should also think about, right? So if you're in the home hub of the airline you're booking, it's often better to book like a through fare. So instead of if you're in Dubai, instead of booking flight to and from Dubai, book maybe a one-way segment to London or wherever you're going, and then book a through fare from Europe to Asia with a stopover in Dubai, and sort of like make that the first part of your next trip. The through fares are often cheaper than the point-to-point.
Interesting.
So little hacks like that are worth spending a bit of time to get to know.
So it sounds as if the low-cost carriers and the big established legacy carriers are coming to the table with capacity additions. But can the same be said about the travel infrastructure, whether it's hotels, whether it's airports? Is that keeping up with demand?
Yeah, I mean, the GCC specifically is, so you've got the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you've got the UAE, you've got Qatar. They're all sort of got these decade plus plans to reimagine the economy, and there's a whole bunch of new sectors that they're trying to create, and in all three, travel and tourism, sort of aviation is a major major priority, and the large amounts of the sovereign wealth funds are being reinvested in the infrastructure. So we're seeing like new airports, new terminals, new airlines, new destinations. For example, the Red Sea off the coast of Saudi. Like really significant investments going into these. And in some cases, demand is getting ahead of supply, but there's a lot of money going into the supply, so it's catching up pretty quick.